People say the customer is always right, but nobody ever explains what happens when the customer complains that the ice is too cold. Yes, someone actually wanted ice that's less cold, and that was just the beginning. We've got someone calling 911 because the drive-thru was too slow, someone who's allergic to peanuts, but still ordered a peanut shake, and one guy demanding a refund because 3 hours from now he'll be hungry again. Not to mention the person shocked that chicken has bones, like they just uncovered a national secret. This isn't just funny. This is logic taking a personal day and physics having to step in and defend itself. But be honest, have you ever almost become one of them? Story 1. Ice cream that's too cold. A woman walked up to the counter with a serious face like she'd just uncovered an international conspiracy. Her issue wasn't the price. It wasn't the portion size. Her issue was the ice cream was too cold. After the first spoonful, she winced and declared this dessert causes tooth sensitivity at an unacceptable level. She asked the employee to make the ice cream softer before serving it as if there's a button behind the counter labeled a little less frozen. The employee tried to explain that ice cream needs to be kept frozen to remain ice cream. But according to her, if a food makes you feel cold, then clearly the system has a problem. She suggested the restaurant should warn customers in advance about the level of cold. And in that moment, frozen ice cream, a thing that exists because of low temperature, suddenly became the main suspect in a lawsuit against the laws of physics. Story 2. Soup that's too wet. In a packed lunch rush, a woman stepped up to the counter holding a bowl of soup like she was carrying evidence in a scandal. Her issue wasn't the taste, it wasn't the temperature. Her issue was the soup had too much water. She said she expected it to be thicker, like a casserole, something you can cut into pieces, not scoop with a spoon. The manager stood there for a few seconds processing the information like a computer installing an update. He gently explained that soup by basic definition comes with broth, a lot of broth. That's the part that makes it soup. But she still insisted the restaurant had diluted it too much. Between the fryer beeping, and the long line behind her, the manager suddenly realized he was defending the laws of liquids. Newton probably never imagined a day when gravity and viscosity would be headed to court. Inside a fast food restaurant. Story 3. Chicken has bones. A man walked up to the counter with an outraged expression, holding a half-bitten piece of fried chicken. He said he wanted to speak to the manager because he'd discovered something unacceptable in his meal. The employee thought it was a foreign object or a hygiene issue. But no, the problem was, there was a bone. He pointed at the exposed bone and said he didn't sign up to eat a skeleton. His tone was serious, like the restaurant had secretly added illegal accessories to the food. The employee, with the patience of a diplomat, gently explained that chicken before it becomes fried chicken used to be a living creature with a full bone structure. The man looked like he'd just uncovered a huge secret in the agriculture industry. In that moment, it wasn't just the bitten chicken that got challenged. Third-grade biology knowledge did too. Story 4. Allergic to peanuts but ordered a peanut shake. A customer walked up to the counter with a serious face and announced right away that she had a severe peanut allergy. The employee immediately switched to warning mode, pointing out which items on the menu contained peanuts. She nodded like she fully understood, then still ordered a large peanut butter milkshake. The employee double-checked just to be safe. She insisted she knew exactly what she was doing. After one sip, she came back to the counter at full speed like she just uncovered a conspiracy. She said the drink clearly has peanuts and demanded compensation. The menu listed the ingredients very clearly, but according to her, the restaurant should be responsible for stopping customers from making their own bad decisions. The employee stood there trying to stay calm. This was the moment the ingredient list became courtroom evidence and logic officially clocked out. Story 5. Ghost pepper donut? That's too spicy. A man walked into the store with the confidence of someone who thought he'd found something adventurous but safe. He ordered the ghost pepper donut, looked at the bright red glaze, and smiled like he'd just placed a small bet. After the first bite, that smile disappeared faster than powdered sugar on a sleeve. He rushed back to the counter, eyes wide, declaring the donut was unnecessarily spicy. He said he thought the word ghost was just a fun Halloween-style name, not an actual culinary warning. The employee calmly pointed to the sign right above the counter that clearly said extremely spicy. He looked at the sign, then looked back at the donut. like the two had secretly teamed up against him. In that moment, the issue wasn't the heat. The issue was that his expectations didn't match reality. And maybe sometimes words don't need a translation. They just need to be read carefully. Story 6. Hard-shell taco that broke. A man took a bite of a hard-shell taco with absolute confidence, and just like every law of physics predicted, the crispy shell shattered. But instead of accepting this as the most universal taco experience ever, he marched straight to the counter and called it a structural product failure. He said the item cannot withstand the basic pressure of being eaten. The employee maintaining peak customer service face explained that hard-shell tacos are crispy and tend to crack when bitten. That's not a defect. That's the feature. He shook his head and suggested the restaurant should improve the materials. Apparently, he was expecting aerospace-grade engineering, something reinforced enough to survive human jaw pressure. In that moment, it wasn't the taco on trial. It was the law of crunchiness, a principle that's been around longer than the menu itself. Story 7. Extra hot latte. That's too hot. A woman walked up to the counter confidently and ordered a latte extra hot. She even emphasized that she likes her coffee really hot. The barista double-checked, adjusted the machine to a higher-than-normal temperature, and handed her the drink exactly as requested. Everything went perfectly. Until the first sip. She took a sip, paused, then came back to the counter looking disappointed. She said the coffee was too hot to drink immediately and asked for a remake. According to her, extra hot shouldn't mean she has to wait a few minutes before drinking it. She wanted it very hot but also instantly drinkable. The barista stayed calm and reminded her that extra hot literally means a higher temperature than usual. But in that moment, this wasn't about coffee anymore. It was a showdown between personal expectations and the laws of thermodynamics, and physics has never promised to accommodate anyone. Story 8. Plain cheeseburger that shouldn't have cheese. A man walked up to the counter and ordered a cheeseburger plain. The employee confirmed the order: bun, beef, patty, cheese, no veggies, no sauce. Everything followed standard procedure. A few minutes later, he came back looking frustrated, holding the burger up like evidence in a small courtroom. "There's cheese in this," he said in a tone usually reserved for reporting illegal activity. According to him, plain meant absolutely nothing except bread and meat. The employee gently pointed to the word cheese in the item's name, explaining that without cheese, it would simply be a hamburger. He shook his head unconvinced. To him, plain meant removing everything, including the part clearly stated in the title. In that moment, it wasn't just the burger being dissected. Linguistics itself entered a state of unprecedented tension. Story 9. Onion ring with actual onion. A woman was happily eating when she suddenly froze mid-bite, staring at her onion ring like she'd just uncovered something suspicious. She carefully peeled off the crispy golden coating like she was inspecting a defective product, and then she saw it. An actual slice of onion inside. She immediately stood up and walked to the counter with a serious expression. According to her, an onion ring should just be a fried ring onion flavored, not real onion. She said she did not expect actual onion in her food. The employee calmly explained that onion rings are made from sliced onions dipped in batter and fried. That's not a culinary secret. That's literally the definition. In that moment, it wasn't just the onion ring on trial. The entire concept of real food became suspicious. Sometimes the most shocking thing is simply the truth. Story 10. Too fast to be fresh. A man walked into the restaurant, ordered a burger and fries, and waited calmly. 2 minutes later, his food was ready. Nothing missing, nothing wrong. It was even lightly steaming. But instead of being impressed by the speed, he narrowed his eyes suspiciously. He looked at the burger like it had just slipped through airport security way too easily. "How can it be fresh if it's that fast?" he asked, voice full of caution. In his mind, this speed had to mean something shady. Maybe the burger had been sitting under a heat lamp for hours. The manager explained their prep system and how they organize ingredients to serve quickly. Standard process, efficient workflow. But he kept shaking his head. To him, fast meant fake. This might be one of the rare moments in history when fast food was criticized for being too fast. Story 11. The pizza slice with no crust. A man ordered a pizza cut into squares, the classic party cut. Everything looked perfect, until he picked up one of the centerpieces. He stared at it for a few seconds, then frowned like he'd just discovered a flaw in the education system. "This slice doesn't have crust," he said, clearly disappointed. In his mind, every slice of pizza should come with a crispy edge. The employee calmly explained that when you cut a pizza into squares, the middle pieces obviously won't have crust. That's not a mistake, that's geometry. He refused to accept that explanation. Instead, he asked for extra crust on the side to balance the experience. In that moment, it wasn't just the pizza under review. The square itself was being put on trial. Maybe he didn't need more crust. Maybe he needed a refresher course in basic math. Story 12. Burger with too much meat. A woman opened her burger box and paused a few seconds longer than usual. Inside was a burger with a patty slightly thicker than standard. Clearly someone in the kitchen was feeling generous that day. But instead of smiling like she just won the portion lottery, she stared at it like it had just assigned her extra homework. She walked up to the counter and said the meat was too heavy. According to her, it made the eating experience overwhelming. She wanted the burger to feel more balanced and refined. The employee tried to explain that she had just received more value for her money. That's usually considered a win. But she shook her head. To her, too much of a good thing wasn't good at all. In that moment, generosity became a problem to be solved. And this might be one of the rare times in fast food history when someone complained about getting too much. Story 13. Refund because he'll be hungry in the future. A man finished his entire combo meal, wiped his hands clean, and walked up to the counter looking thoughtful. The employee assumed something was missing or there was a quality issue. But no, he wanted a partial refund because in about 3 hours, I'm definitely going to be hungry again. According to him, if the meal was truly satisfying, it should keep him full longer than that. He argued the restaurant should be responsible for his future hunger because they were the ones who provided the original energy. The employee just stood there processing the information like they'd just heard a pitch for stomach insurance. The manager calmly explained that your body digesting food is normal biology, but he still insisted this was a product value issue. In that moment, it wasn't just the receipt being debated. Basic biology got dragged into the negotiation like a contract clause. Story 14. Demanding a McRib at Burger King. A man walked into Burger King with absolute confidence and loudly ordered, "Give me a McRib." The employee paused for a few seconds, wondering if they misheard him. They gently explained that the McRib belongs to another chain, the one with the very famous golden arches. He frowned like he'd just uncovered some kind of cross-industry conspiracy. According to him, if both places sell burgers, why can't they just share a few items? He accused the restaurant of being inflexible and argued that customers should be served based on demand, no matter what logo is hanging outside. The employee tried to stay calm, but the more they explained, the angrier he became. Apparently, he believed that with enough frustration, the sandwich would simply materialize out of thin air. In that moment, this wasn't about the menu anymore. It was about the belief that anger alone can summon a McRib. Story 15. Refund. Because of the calorie board. A man had just finished a large combo double burger fries and a giant soda. He wiped his hands, stood up, and on his way out, glanced at the calorie board hanging above the counter. He stopped. His eyes slowly scanned every number, and then he turned right, back around with a look of pure disappointment. He said those numbers had ruined the entire experience. According to him, if he hadn't seen the total calories, he would have left happy. But now, he was carrying unnecessary negative emotions. He wanted a refund because the restaurant had made him feel guilty. The employee calmly explained that displaying calorie information is required by law. But in that moment, information wasn't just information. It became the villain. And this might be one of the rare times someone complained not about the food, but about the truth. Story 16. Soda with too much fizz. A man picked up his freshly poured soda, took one sip, and immediately stopped. He stared into the cup like it had just crossed a line. After a few seconds of deep thought, he walked straight to the counter and announced the drink was too fizzy. According to him, the current level of carbonation was unnecessary and made the experience overly stimulating. The employee politely explained that soda is carbonated by nature. That's literally what gives it that signature refreshing feel. But he wasn't convinced. He said he wanted a version that's less fizzy, same flavor, just fewer bubbles. The employee suggested iced tea or water. He shook his head. He didn't want water. He wanted soda, just not so much like soda. In that moment, it wasn't just the cup on trial. The very definition of a carbonated drink was being renegotiated. It looked like he was searching for a brand new invention soda without the soda. Story 17. The burger doesn't look like the ad. A woman opened her burger box and immediately pulled out her phone. She scrolled to the advertisement on her screen and placed it next to the real burger like she was preparing for a courtroom comparison. She pointed at every detail. This lettuce isn't as green. The cheese isn't melting at the same angle. The patty isn't as thick as in the picture. The employee calmly explained that ads are photographed under studio lights with food stylists arranging every sesame seed. In real life, burgers are made quickly to serve hundreds of customers per hour, not to attend a fashion photo shoot. But she didn't accept that explanation. According to her, the real product should match the billboard image exactly, not 1 millimeter less. In that moment, the burger wasn't just food. It became the star of a showdown between reality and fantasy. And reality, as usual, doesn't come with perfect lighting filters. Story 18. Discount because he only ate 80%. A man sat there enjoying his combo nice and calmly. The burger was almost gone. A few fries left. The soda more than half finished. When he stood up instead of tossing the tray, he walked straight to the counter with a serious expression. He said he had only eaten about 80% of the meal, so it didn't make sense to pay 100% of the price. According to him, the remaining 20% should be refunded accordingly. The employee explained that the price covers the entire product, not the number of bites taken, but he insisted that this was mathematically unfair. By that logic, the restaurant should charge per bite. In that moment, it wasn't just the receipt being debated. The entire concept of buying and selling was under review, as if fast food now needed a payment system based on chewing frequency. Story 19. The burger must be perfectly symmetrical. A woman asked the employee to cut her burger in half before bringing it to the table, not for convenience, but because she likes things balanced. The employee did exactly that and placed the two halves on the tray. Everything seemed completely normal, until she looked down and noticed one side was slightly bigger than the other, by a few millimeters. She brought the burger back to the counter and said the imbalance was ruining the experience. According to her, if the halves weren't perfectly equal, each bite would feel unfair. The employee offered to cut it again carefully, aligning it like they were competing in a precision measurement contest. Still, she wasn't fully satisfied. In that moment, the burger wasn't fast food anymore. It was a live geometry exam, and math, which usually stays in the classroom, was suddenly required to prove its accuracy. Right there at the fast food counter. Story 20. Milkshake that's too thick. A woman received her milkshake, inserted the straw, and took a deep, determined sip. Nothing happened. The straw stood still like it had been planted in concrete. She tried again, harder this time, making a sound like she was trying to start an old engine. Still nothing. She walked up to the counter looking disappointed and declared the milkshake was too thick to drink. According to her, it should be easier to sip. Smoother. But when the employee offered to thin it out a little, she immediately objected. She didn't want watered-down milk. She still wanted a milkshake. The employee gently explained that the thickness is exactly what makes it a milkshake. If it's too thin, it's basically flavored milk. But she insisted the restaurant should find a reasonable balance. In that moment, it wasn't just the straw being tested. The very definition of milkshake was up for negotiation, like the dictionary needed a software update. Story 21. Fries that are too hot. A man received his fries and immediately grabbed one with excitement. Half a second later, he dropped it back under the tray like he had just touched the surface of the sun. He walked straight to the counter with a serious expression and announced the fries were too hot to eat immediately. According to him, the restaurant should serve fries at a moderately warm level, hot enough to enjoy right away, but not hot enough to require waiting a few minutes. The employee explained that the fries had just come out of the fryer, which is exactly why they were hot and crispy, something most customers consider a good sign. But to him, freshness had become the problem. He didn't want them cold. He just wanted them at the perfect temperature based on his personal internal thermostat. The restaurant apologized for serving fries fresh out of the fryer, and in that moment, hot food became something that needed to adjust to feelings, not actual temperature. Story 22. Fried chicken with no skin, but still crispy. A woman walked up to the counter and asked for fried chicken without the skin. The employee nodded, ready to accommodate the special request. Then she added one small detail. She still wanted it crispy. No skin, but crispy like usual. The employee carefully explained that the skin is exactly what creates that signature crunch when fried. Without the skin, the inside meat would be softer. That's just how frying works. But she wasn't convinced. According to her, this was simply a technical issue that hasn't been solved yet, and the restaurant should find a way to make it crispy without the skin. She said it with the confidence of someone pitching a tech innovation. In that moment, it wasn't just the chicken being discussed. The fundamental principles of frying were up for negotiation. Apparently, food physics now needed a software update to meet customer standards. Story 23. Mixing a terrible drink and blaming the machine. A man stood in front of the soda freestyle machine with over 100 flavor options. He spent a few serious minutes thinking, then started mixing like a scientist testing a secret formula. Cola with cherry, add some vanilla. Finish it off with a splash of lemonade for innovation. He took one sip, paused. His face shifted from pride to confusion. He walked up to the counter and announced the machine had created a drink that was confusing and hard to swallow. According to him, too many choices make customers prone to mistakes, and the restaurant should implement some kind of limitation system. The employee gently reminded him that he personally selected every flavor, but he believed the fault was in the system design. In that moment, this wasn't about the strange colored beverage anymore. It was about the idea that machines should have a bad decision prevention mode to protect humans from their own creativity. Story 24. Ice that's too cold. A man bit into an ice cube in his drink, then slowly walked up to the counter with a serious expression like he had just uncovered a global conspiracy. He placed the cup down and said the ice was too cold. According to him, that sharp brain freeze feeling was proof the restaurant was keeping the temperature too low. The employee calmly explained that ice is frozen water and being very cold is kind of its core feature. But he wasn't convinced. He insisted there must be a version of ice that's less cold, something that still holds its shape but doesn't cause discomfort. In that moment, the conversation wasn't about drinks anymore. It turned into an unexpected debate about states of matter. And this might be one of the rare times in fast food history when the laws of physics were treated like a customer service issue that needed improvement. Story 25. Free refills. For several weeks straight, a man walked into the restaurant carrying the same slightly crumpled paper cup. He went straight to the soda machine and refilled it like it was part of a sacred routine. Everything was fine. Until one day, an employee gently informed him that free refills only applied during the same visit. He immediately objected. According to him, the word free does not come with a time limit. Free means free. If the universe didn't print an expiration date on it, then the privilege was still valid. He said he had a reasonable misunderstanding and felt misled by vocabulary itself. The employee explained that free refills are part of the dine-in experience, not a lifetime beverage contract. He shook his head, convinced he had uncovered a linguistic loophole. In that moment, this wasn't about soda anymore. It was about putting the word free on trial. Story 26. Calling 911. Because the drive-thru was slow. A woman was waiting in the drive-thru line when she started losing patience because the car in front of her was taking too long to order. After a few minutes, she decided this was no longer a normal situation. She picked up her phone and called 911. On the call, she explained that she was about to be late for an important appointment and needed someone to handle this immediately. The dispatcher calmly asked if there was an accident or any danger happening. She said no. The person in front of her just couldn't decide between a burger and a salad. The dispatcher had to clarify that the police are not a rapid response team for fast food delays, but according to her, this level of waiting clearly qualified as a crisis. In that moment, it wasn't just the drive-thru being misunderstood. The definition of emergency got a very creative expansion. And this might be one of the rare times a burger was treated like a situation requiring law enforcement intervention. Story 27. The scientifically wrong topping order. A man watched every step of the employee making a sandwich like a researcher observing a critical experiment. The moment he saw the pickles placed on top of the lettuce instead of underneath, he immediately objected. According to him, that order was flavor unstable. He explained completely seriously that pickles must go under the lettuce to balance moisture and maintain the molecular structure of the whole thing. The employee just stood there, trying to figure out if they'd been dragged into a chemistry lecture or if they were still in fact working at a fast food counter. He insisted the wrong order could ruin the entire eating experience. This wasn't just a sandwich anymore. It was a scientific construction that had to follow strict standards. In that moment, it wasn't the lettuce or the pickles on trial. It was an imaginary law about the molecular structure of a sandwich being defended with truly impressive seriousness. Story 28. A hamburger must be called a cheeseburger. A man walked up to the counter and ordered a cheeseburger with no cheese. The employee confirmed so a hamburger. He nodded, totally fine with removing the cheese. But when he got the receipt and saw the word hamburger with a slightly lower price, his entire mood shifted. He said he ordered a cheeseburger, so the receipt should say cheeseburger. The employee explained that once you remove the cheese, the system automatically rings it up as a hamburger because that's literally what it is. He refused to accept that. According to him, the name mattered more than the actual ingredients. Here's the twist. He wasn't upset about paying less. He just didn't want to lose the cheeseburger title. In that moment, this wasn't about cheese anymore. It was about identity. And this might be one of the rare times in fast food where a sandwich's personal brand mattered more than the sandwich itself. Story 29. Feeling full just from the smell. A woman walked into the restaurant and immediately took a deep breath of burgers on the grill and fries fresh out of the fryer. She stood there for a few seconds, then approached the counter with a serious expression. According to her, the strong aroma in the air had made her feel full before even eating. She suggested the restaurant should consider a discount because she had been affected by an overly intense sensory experience. The employee explained that the smell of food is normal in a fast food restaurant. In fact, it's part of the experience. But she believed the powerful aroma had reduced her actual appetite, and therefore the value wasn't fair. In that moment, it wasn't just the burger being calculated. Her sense of smell had entered the bill as an invisible form of consumption. At this rate, restaurants might soon need a separate charge for breathing. Story 30. The restaurant stole his idea. A man once had a casual chat with an employee and said it would be so good if you put fries inside a burrito. The conversation lasted a few minutes and everyone forgot about it. A few months later, the chain launched a new item with fries inside. He came back with a serious face, holding the advertisement like it was courtroom evidence. He accused the restaurant of stealing his creative idea. According to him, saying it out loud at the register was enough to make him a co-creator of the menu item. The employee tried to explain that combining fries and a burrito isn't exactly a patent-level invention, but he didn't agree. He demanded compensation or at least lifetime benefits for his contribution. In that moment, the fast food counter turned into an intellectual property courtroom, and he stood there confidently like a misunderstood culinary genius. Story 31. Refund because the meal didn't change his life. A man finished his burger, slowly wiped his hands, and walked up to the counter, looking deeply reflective. The employee assumed maybe there was missing sauce or a wrong order. But no, he said the meal did not deliver the experience promised. According to him, the advertisement suggested an explosion of flavor and a memorable moment. Yet after finishing it, he was still the same person he was 5 minutes ago. No enlightenment, no shift in awareness, no new chapter of life unlocked. He wanted a refund because the product failed to achieve personal transformation. The employee gently explained this was fast food, not a spiritual retreat or a weekend meditation workshop. In that moment, the burger wasn't just a burger. It became a test of life's meaning. And this might be the first time in fast food history someone asked for a refund because the meal wasn't enlightening enough. These stories aren't just funny. They show what happens when hunger meets entitlement and expectations sprint way past reality. Sometimes the problem isn't the burger or the fries. It's expecting a $5 meal to perform a small miracle. Be honest, have you ever heard a complaint even more ridiculous than these? Drop it in the comments. If you've never asked for a refund because your soup was too wet, go ahead and hit like, and don't forget to subscribe for the next round of stories that are even crispier than a hard-shell taco.